Hey, how is everyone? I'm so excited to bring you for this episode a fabulous Mary Rodriguez, the brain training and high performance mindset expert, millionaire money mentor, and host of the Unstoppable Mind podcast, which is ranked in the top 5% globally. With an international reach, this speaker and teacher has helped thousands of clients from across the globe, including multi-millionaire entrepreneurs, professional organizations, and even celebrities. Using science-based methodologies rooted in neuroscience and hypnosis, she helps people shift their beliefs and master their thoughts for massive success in all aspects of the life. Her powerful online programs, trainings, and hypnosis audios help eliminate disempowering habits, fears, and self-doubt. Well, I am so excited that you get to hear our conversation, and I was super excited, as you will see. And we talked about so many different things. We touched upon what actually is hypnosis, why we both doing it, why it's so powerful. We talked about the importance of self-awareness, the importance of eliminating limiting beliefs and actually not even seeing them as limiting beliefs, but as a era and opportunity for growth. We talked about social conditioning, the power of imagination, and all of that. How is the key in creating your extraordinary and unstoppable life? However, that looks for you. Because as you will hear in this episode, my definition of success is going to be different to yours. And that definitely is the starting point. So tune in, enjoy, and email me if you've got any questions about this episode. Hey everyone! Welcome to another episode. I'm so excited that I can't even speak. My today's guest, as I alluded in my introduction, is a wonderful Mary Rodriguez. Hope I said this right. I'm sorry if I didn't. I'm so excited to have you here and pick your brain and ask you loads of questions. And I want to start with why hypnosis? You are a brain training expert, a high performance mindset expert. You've trained thousands of people, and you're also a hypnotherapist. Why did you decide to go into this field of work? Because I don't think this is something that everyone takes as a child.
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here hanging out with you and chatting with you. I think the world of you. And so thank you for having me on your podcast. And I want to say that I love your question and I love that we're going to start deep because I feel like hypnosis is one of the most powerful tools in the world for so many reasons. We get into the subconscious mind where people's habits are, their beliefs are, their intuition, their feelings, their memories, and we do the deep work right there, not just the conscious work, but the deep work in their subconscious mind. And then hypnosis accelerates neuroplasticity because you're in a state of relaxation and you're learning something new. You have focused awareness while you are learning how to heal the past or heal the present moment, whatever that means for you and for your audience. It could mean healing trauma, PTSD, could mean healing habits that do not serve them. I mean, healing is a broad term that can mean many different things, but ultimately my goal is to help people live their best effing lives. to help them live their most unstoppable lives. And I feel like hypnosis is exactly the tool that they need to accelerate and to train their brains for success, whatever that means to people, because success can mean so many different things to people. So I feel like it's the most powerful tool that there is.
Absolutely. And I resonated with so much because it was only when I looked within that I realized how much we hypnotize ourselves in a wrong way, if I can say this, for the wrong stuff. So we keep repeating the habits that do not serve us anymore. But unfortunately, no one teaches any of this in school. Even mindfulness, like basics. It doesn't have to be everything, but just basic things. It would absolutely change everything for so many people. So I absolutely resonate with this. And this is part of the reason why I decided to start, the hypnosis, because I was like, okay, this is a lot more to it, and I'm just scratching the surface. I want to know more. I want to know how to train my brain. How is that, one person can be so comfortable at doing this? And I find this an absolute horror as I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Oh, I so agree. And, for years, I struggled in so many ways and not understanding how powerful we are. I was constantly programming myself and in who I didn't want to be by telling myself all the time, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. That's not for me. Who do I think I am? It's just all of these. I'm broke. I used to say that all the time. I'm broke. And at that time, I didn't know that what I was doing was I was reaffirming to my brain what wasn't possible. And so this is just the first step, is becoming aware of what you're saying. And once I became aware of what I was saying, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm programming myself to be broke. I'm programming myself to not be able to do something. I'm programming myself to run when I'm afraid. And and I was like, I just fell in love with what's possible with our brain. And that's why I love hypnosis so much, because I feel like, it allows us to change the way we think and feel. And all of a sudden I started once I started doing hypnosis on myself, we call it self-hypnosis, but once I started doing hypnosis on myself, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so incredible how empowered and powerful I feel. Even though I may not know the how, I'm telling myself what's possible. And so it's just incredible, so incredible to me, how once we understand that what we're doing is not working, it's like getting our brain, our subconscious mind in alignment with what we want, who we want to be, how we want to show up in the world. Once we can do that with our beautiful brain, it starts to feel like magic. It starts to get easier. It really does. So
And I hope our listeners really pay attention to what you are saying, because there's so many golden nuggets in what you just said. And it's so simple that, like, my mentor and your mentor, Jim Fortin, is we miss it because
yes.
words create reality. We don't pay attention. We are not aware of that head chatter that we are engaging in every single day. And that's where I think mindfulness, as a start, to be taught at schools would be revolutionary.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. It would change the world.
It would. I think it's just like, basics. It doesn't take much. It wouldn't take a lot of that, time schedule, whatever they do at school these days. It's been a long time since I finished school, but it would be phenomenal, because otherwise people think they can meditate or silence the mind, because we are numbing ourselves with binge watching Netflix, with alcohol, with shopping, with avoiding emotions, whatever that is. And I certainly avoided my emotions like a plague because I've learned to dismiss what I feel as a child because it was easier. It was my coping mechanism. And I believe that any form of addiction or a habit or something that we've created for ourselves is a coping mechanism, is a strategy that we created. And at the time, it made sense. It probably was the best thing we could have come up with. But as time goes by, it doesn't serve us anymore. It actually ruins our lives because my detachment from my emotions was ruining my love life, my relationships. I don't know how to love, how to invite love into my life because I didn't love myself. I was so uncomfortable with my own self. No wonder that no one wanted to be part of my life. It
Yeah.
takes awareness and looking within to realize that. So I know that you kind of put your hand up because I know you've been struggling with addiction. And what do you think we are running away from? Is it always the same, or do you find it's varies for various people, or usually comes down to just a few things?
Well, I'll speak to that in two ways. And first, I'll share that for me, so I am now sober 3.5 years and I choose a sober life. But for many, many years, so I'm 48 years old right now. So throughout my 20s, throughout my 30s, and throughout part of my 40s, I drank as a coping mechanism. And I wasn't just a casual drinker, like I was hardcore. Like I would go on binges for weeks and weeks, and I wasn't living. In fact, I think I wanted to die. And so I was running from, and this is how hypnotherapy came into my life. I went to see a hypnotherapist to get sober. And I really didn't know what I was running from until I met with that hypnotherapist, and she helped me to identify. So what she said to me was, alcohol's not your problem. You probably heard me share this story. And I almost fell out of my chair because alcohol had ruined my life. It had destroyed my marriage. It had destroyed my relationship with my family. Nobody wanted to see me drink myself into the grave. And so everybody cut me out of their life. And when that hypnotherapist told me that alcohol wasn't my problem, I was like, I couldn't believe it. And what she said was, what I'd like to do with you, Mary Lou, is I want to heal your past. I want to heal the traumas. I want to heal the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, the emotional abuse. I did not know how to cope with emotions. I did not know how to heal the past. And so what I was doing with drinking was I was running from the past. I was running from everything for decades. And so when I finally made the commitment to stop drinking and to choose something different, I was ready. I was ready to fully change my life. And so I drank. I had my addiction to run away from life and to really not live. And so when I had worked with people and have worked with people, when I first became a hypnotist, I started working with people with addictions because I understood it really well. I understood how to deal with the cravings and the urges that you would get. And I feel like people have addictions because it's easy to numb out. It's harder to deal with the things that are uncomfortable. So we're running away from the pain and we're running towards pleasure. And whether we realize it or not, that is exactly what we are doing. And so the numbing out can impact us in so many ways. And I know you know that, with the clients that you've worked with and the people that you serve, numbing out can be watching Netflix or whatever it is that people are doing, can be just a way to avoid their fears, and for many reasons: fear of success, fear of failure, procrastination, overwhelm, anxiety. These are all ways, coping mechanisms, and it's not our fault. Like if I had known better, I probably would have done better. And that's what I get to do now, is I get to choose differently. So that's what I want to say about numbing out and addictions. And addictions just aren't external things. They're not just to substances or to TV. They are also an addiction to our thoughts and to our
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah,
And I know,
absolutely. That's something that I recently was kind of pointed out to me about addictions to certain ways of beings, and I was like, "Oh, ouch, okay." But that's how awareness is powerful because if we can't see it, if we're not aware, it is we can't do anything about it. And what I like to say is like it haunts us from the shadows because we are not aware. We're doing certain things and we're like, oh, I can't understand why I keep doing this or why I'm bumping into the same problems because we are not aware what's going on inside. And what I was running away was for myself because I didn't accept myself as lovable and enough because I come from a family where love wasn't expressed. I was kind of emotionally neglected. And that in itself had a huge ramifications on my life that I didn't understand in my early 30s. I spent 30 plus years of my life running a program that I picked up as a child was absolutely ruining my life because I didn't understand. I was not aware. So I was frustrated with myself. I was unhappy with myself, but I was like, I don't get it. Like I don't understand why I keep doing this and choosing the wrong people or can't attract them or whatever. It's because I wasn't modeled the basics as a child. And I had to relearn, teach myself what does mean to accept myself and to love myself. Forgive my mom because she wasn't aware of what she's been doing because that's what was modeled to her. My grandma was a child. I mean, she was about 6 when the Second World War started because I'm Polish. I grew up in Poland. So I can only imagine what is the programming that my grandma received as a child and then passed it on to my mom. No wonder she then passed it on to me. And that's so powerful with hypnosis because we can look back and heal the past and rewire the brain for what we want. That's why I love hypnosis anyway.
100,000%, a bajillion%, I agree with you. I think that, our conditioning and our programming, we can't see what we can't see. It's like it's the glasses that we have on. And so I didn't understand, that I was numbing out because I couldn't deal with the past. I didn't understand that I was programming my brain over and over again by telling myself I couldn't get sober and that I needed a drink to relax. I just didn't understand. So I want people to know that the awareness piece really is so important. And all you have to do is look at your life and say, am I free? Like, do I have the things that I want in my life? Because if I don't, then I get to look at why. And that's where the awareness comes in. And so I love it because we do have the tools. We may not have the tools, but we have the desire. We can find the tools to once we become aware, to shift it, to change it, to heal it, to empower ourselves so that we can stand in our personal power. And this is why I love this work so much. And so thank you for having me on your podcast, because you can tell I want people to be empowered, and I want them to know that they can change their lives. They can.
But I think that's what we have in common because I'm also very powerful, empowered. What I'm trying to look for. Very excited about this because that's I think what's so powerful about my identity. There's a question about identity coming that I've always had that desire to change my life, to not to live the way it was modeled to me. Like I didn't understand how, why, when, or how I'm gonna even go about this because I didn't have the tools, but I had the desire to do something. Although I didn't know how. Like I was completely lost. That's thing I wanted you to maybe expand on this, how imagination can play a role in creating life because something that I understand now, what I didn't understood back then was when I was late teenager, growing in post-communist Poland, communist, seeing, how the, political landscape is changing and not having any future prospects. I've been dreaming away. I was sitting in a class and I was dreaming away. And in my mind, I was traveling the world and I was seeing those amazing places. And I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to go about this. I didn't even go there. how, because it was so beyond my possibilities, and like I couldn't even afford a bus ticket. So, imagining traveling the world, I didn't even go there how, because it was just way beyond me. But I spent hours dreaming about this. And it came to me from a place I would never have guessed it. When I did at 21, I left Poland with 30 pounds in my pocket. Off I went. Best decision ever, because I literally had nothing to lose. So I literally imagined my future, because I did travel a world. I've been to quite a few places around the world by now. So I want you to expand on how imagination and daydreaming and being clear about what we want can help us in creating that extraordinary, unstoppable life.
I so love this question so much because this is why we connect. I feel like our imagination is the most powerful tool that we really do have inside of our beautiful brain is our imagination. And I agree with you 100,000%, again, a bajillion percent, that our imagination is so. I just want to share with you that every day, I don't need to have it in my calendar anymore. But when I was first learning how to dream, I would put a reminder on my phone. I would put a reminder on my phone to pause and to daydream, to allow myself to daydream about how I wanted my life to be. Now, at that time, I didn't understand why it was so powerful. I just knew that it made me feel good, which is incredible in itself, right? And so I did that. And so now a part of my practice is self hypnosis. But in my self hypnosis practice, or sometimes I listen to a hypnosis audio, but it's daily, it's my non negotiable, it's what I do every single day. But inside of my self hypnosis practice, I do something called mental rehearsal, where I'm visualizing my life the way that I want it to be. I visualize my big vision, and then I visualize my day. And I do this every day before I even get out of bed. I'm like visualizing my life. And now I know that my subconscious mind does not know the difference between real or imagined. So my brain, my subconscious believes it to be true. And I have been doing my visualization for my big dreams since July. My brain knows exactly what that visualization looks like. And so I love it. And today I added like a breeze that I could smell the ocean
Mhm.
air, to add more excitement to my visualization. But my brain believes it to be true. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a neural pathway in my brain and a neural network in my brain with my vision. So even though it hasn't happened externally yet, my brain doesn't know that. My subconscious doesn't know that. So my brain is creating this network of possibilities, is what I call it, of my dream. And how isn't a part of the visualization? It's what I'm doing in my visualization. It's how I'm feeling in my visualization. And I know that as I do this, that it is so real for me. And that's a belief that I have, that this is my real life. And so my imagination, I mean, I go into some incredible places. And as a result, what is happening is that my brain is trained to look for all the possibilities of potential. And it does exactly that. I have different glasses on so I can spot these beautiful opportunities that I would have never seen before, but I see them now. And I'm like, ooh, that's part of my visualization. I don't know the how, but I know that the opportunities are there. And so everywhere I go, everywhere I turn, I see possibilities to create my vision, to create what's in my imagination.
That is so powerful, because like I mentioned to you before, we hopped on a call that I've got my new office, my new place and stuff. And I was actually visualizing being here and seeing my clients, and I was visualizing how the room is going to look like, and became reality. And it didn't take
Yeah.
that long to become a reality, but I was visualizing myself doing exactly that. So how would you respond to someone who says, "Well, that's very well, but I have to be down to the ground and realistic. My life is doesn't really go very well. I have financial problems. This is going on. My ex is this and da 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 da." how is that going to help me when I am being presented with a completely different reality that makes me feel sad, upset, unhappy? How am I supposed to feel happy when my reality is the exact opposite?
It just, when I hear you share that, and I know that there are a lot of people out there who feel this way, it just reminds me of like how when we were children and we had the ability to dream and we could be anything that we wanted to be. And slowly that was it was programmed out of us to be realistic, to be rational, to be, this is what you can do. This is your dream. And so what I want to say to that is the first thing that I always ask people when they want to work with me is, do you want to change?
Hmm.
If you're doing isn't working, and I want to offer this to you as a way. Now, there's a process, to this, and that, and that's why people hire us and, they join our programs. And because there's a process, because imagination is beautiful and that's empowering, but there's other parts to transformation in order to change your external reality. And so, and so I always ask, like, if you want to change, take the leap of faith with me. And this is about learning to trust, not trust me. This is about learning to trust themselves, that they can do something different. So that's always where I start because, I spent like 2 hours yesterday on a call. I was working with somebody that I care about very deeply. And there was external situations, external this and external that. And this isn't working out for me. And that isn't working out for me. And now I have all these migraines that are happening for me because she wanted me to work with her on her migraines. And so that's what we do as people, is that we compound our external circumstances and they are our reality, but it's because internally we keep creating that. We don't mean to, we don't like it, and we don't know how to change it. And so when I was working with my friend yesterday, I was like, I just want to point out to you, what do you think your migraines are telling you? She was
Yeah,
like, I need to slow down.
yeah,
This and so it's just interesting to me that people want to like turn off visualization and imagination, but I get it. It's because that's what they've been taught to do as they grow up. They've been taught to dream realistic dreams,
yeah,
real reality dreams, not the dreams of what can absolutely be possible for us. And
yeah.
so I used to be one of those people that
It's
dreamt that.
amazing, yeah. What
Yeah.
society beats the out of us. It's and I've always been curious about this because I've been always someone who rebelled against society and
Yeah.
society rules. And when people were telling me, oh, well, you should be doing this way and that way. And I remember when I was like mid-20s and people said, oh, where are you gonna get married and have kids? And I was like, just because you asked me, that I'm gonna do the opposite.
Yeah.
I loved doing things the exact opposite to what the society was telling me. I never understood why, but kind of, I presume, is one of my characteristic traits on a soul level when I came here, because it's always been part of me, regardless of how my childhood looked like. That's never been beaten out of me.
Yes. Yes.
People tried, believe me. People have
Yes.
tried. Um, Question that I am really interested in, and you've touched upon here, is how do you develop self-trust? What does it mean to trust yourself?
Yeah. I think that's such a beautiful question. Thank you for asking that, because many times I think that the way that self-trust doesn't look like in somebody's life is that they're not following through with what they say they're going to do. So they give up all the time. They give in to whatever the thing is that they're giving into. And they don't know how to shift that, how to create a different relationship with themselves. So, one of the first pieces when I'm looking at self trust, because I trust myself 100%, that takes the pressure off of me, to be honest with you, because I realize that every decision that I make is the right decision for me in this moment. just in this moment. Now, I don't have to worry about everything in my future because I can learn and grow from this decision that I make. I can tweak it later on in my future. But that's just for you and I, and for the people that are there that already trust themselves. But for the people who are trying to figure out how to trust themselves, it really is about the self-integrity piece. It really is about taking responsibility for following through with what you say you are going to do. Other people call it being disciplined. It just means that when you make a commitment to yourself, this isn't a commitment to others. This is not a commitment to your kids or to your partner, to your mentor, to, whatever it is. This is a commitment to you, that you actually follow through, because what that does internally is that begins to create this trust piece where you're like, okay, I trust myself to reach my outcome. But it doesn't start there. It starts every day with just following through with what you say you're going to do. This is how you create self-trust. And as you create this incredible relationship with yourself, because that's what happens, but we're not taught that growing up, right?
Yeah.
This is the most powerful relationship that we can have. This is the longest relationship that we will ever have with anybody, is with ourselves. Getting goosebumps. And as we create this relationship with ourselves, we start to have this compassion, this self-compassion piece, this self-love piece, this self-acceptance piece, and self-trust. So if you want to trust yourself, it's following through with what you say you're going to do. That's the bottom line. And if you don't follow through, then you figure out how you can follow through, but you don't give up.
Would you say it's harder for us women with the domestication, that I like to say, that model of reality that was presented to us, that it's harder for us to put ourselves first, our needs first, our desires first, or is it that we put everyone else first and we come last?
Yeah, I mean, that really is I really do think it is part of domestication, where we have been taught that everybody comes before us, whether it's, whether that was intentional or unintentional by your parents or by school or church or whatever it is. That is exactly what I find the most, is that people, women specifically, do not put themselves first. And they've been
Yeah,
taught directly, indirectly to do
yeah.
that. And so
And I
it
think,
becomes,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking, because I was kind of looking back at my childhood, a lot of it was actually presented to me indirectly because of where my mum was at the time. And when I was 11, she had another child. So I had two younger brothers. And by necessity, I had to grow up and start looking after my younger brother. And so by necessity, what was modeled to me, my needs don't matter. What I want is it's beyond relevant, because I had this little brother that I needed to look after. So whether I wanted to go and see my friends or something else, it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, and I so can relate to that story, which is part of the reason why I didn't have kids at a really young age, because I also was rebelling, and then I turned to alcohol, and so not in this lifetime will I have children, but in my next. But anyways, going back to your point, where we learn early on about just others come before us, that is, I've got to say, one of the biggest things that I find with women is that they feel guilty putting
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah. And I also find some women actually, which I find is quite unbelievable, actually shame other women for doing that. And I think that comes from that piece. They actually, part of them is jealous because they would love to do that, but they don't know how. So it's easier to put other people down, bring them back down to that level.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. One other thing that I found when I've been working with women over the last 4.5 years is that another way that they don't put themselves first, and this is just a different way to say what we just said, which is they feel responsible for everyone.
Yeah.
They feel like and they don't even know it. And that responsibility could stem out to their clients, so they keep themselves small because they don't realize that they might feel like they're responsible for everyone in the world. So they're like, I can only see this many people, because if I see, if I show up every day on Facebook and do my lives or LinkedIn or whatever it is, I know that I'm gonna blow up and be huge. And I don't know why I don't want to blow up and be huge. I don't know why I want to play small. And then when we dig, they're like, oh man, it means that I'm responsible for everybody, for the whole world. And I love that, because it's like, no, and this is where the awareness piece comes in, right? That
Yeah.
mindfulness piece, where we get to be like, wait a minute, I'm only responsible for me and maybe my kids, but not for the whole world. So it's so fascinating to me.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, I was thinking exactly that you were reading my mind. It goes back to awareness. So powerful. And I still catch myself sometimes, but going back to my old habits of thinking or being, but I catch myself a lot quicker. And I try not to beat myself up for
Yeah.
going there, which can happen sometimes when it's like, oh, Alina, you're still there, you're still going there, which it doesn't help if we beat
Yeah.
ourselves up.
I didn't even know that I was judging myself. I didn't know. I knew I was hard on myself, but I didn't know that I was constantly judging myself. I was constantly beating myself up. And guess how I was feeling all the time? I was feeling like shit. I was feeling bad. And that self-judgment piece, once I like cleared that and move that out of my body, because I had habituated that. That's the thing that happens, is that we habituate these feelings of shame, of guilt, of frustration, of sadness, whatever it is, and so of judgment. And so when I worked on removing the judgment and replacing it with compassion, I mean, guess how I started to feel? So much.
And it basically goes back to what you said earlier. It all starts from us, from the relationship that we have with ourselves. But to dismantle that and then create the healthy and loving relationship, we need awareness. And we need to look within and start working on ourselves. And that means not running away into alcohol or binge watching or shopping, and actually facing the emotions. And I figured out that actually I'm a huge, huge empath, bigger than I ever thought, because whenever I actually leaned in and connected back with my emotions, oh my God, it
Yeah.
just exploded. Like, I've always been an empath, but I didn't realize to what extent, because I was actually hiding. And that related to other parts of my life as well. So I was hiding away from my emotions. I also was hiding from myself, from showing up in the world, from creating what I wanted. And I literally shrunken in my energy and how I was showing up. And when I became aware of this, and when I started to catch myself on it, I could literally feel myself when I was maybe uncomfortable situation, or I didn't want to stand out. I could literally feeling myself going like this, because if you are not seen, then they can hurt you. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I keep doing this. It took me a while to feel comfortable to to stand up and to show up and then connect with my ocean. But it's a process. It doesn't, even with hypnosis, I think it takes time.
Does take time. And as you shared that, I remembered a pattern that I only discovered like in the last 2 years. And it impacted my ability to show up and be the CEO, to be the entrepreneur that I wanted to be. But I didn't know that until I did the deeper work. But one of my patterns was, if people like me, then they won't hurt me. if people like me, then they'll protect me. And so I couldn't guarantee that people would like me when I showed up and did my workshops, when I would show up and do my master classes, when I would, and I didn't know that that was driving me, but that has everything to do with my childhood. I knew that if the people that were hurting me in my life, if they liked me, they were less likely to hurt me. If they liked me, they would protect me. And so I'm getting goosebumps, and so that pattern was playing out in my life, and it was keeping me from fully showing up in the way that I desired. So when we do this deeper work, when we can look at, hey, I'm not where I want to be, and I'm not going to judge myself, I'm going to have the mindfulness piece, I'm going to become aware, I'm going to work with people that I know that can help me figure out what these patterns are so that I can be free. So I love that you're doing this. I love that you're sharing about these patterns and beliefs and emotions that can keep us stuck from living our best lives.
Well, I think, you know what, I feel comfortable now to share things like this, but if you asked me to share stuff like this about myself a few years ago, I'd be like, once I wasn't aware, and even if I was deeply ashamed, which is a very heavy emotion, and I was judging myself, feel ashamed that I'm stuck in those patterns. But now I understand where it came from and how I can shift it, and it doesn't define me as a person. This is just my lessons here. And I feel comfortable because I think when we share things like this, I was like, all right, okay, so, she's struggling with this too, or she was struggling with this too, so it's not just me. And I think we're suffering in silence, hidden behind curtains, and we don't realize that every single one of us have something that we could be working on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the truth. And now I see growth. Somebody asked me, what are your blocks? And I was like, can you please reframe the question? Because
Yeah.
I don't, and I was like, oh, I know what you can ask me. I said, ask me, where do I want to grow? And so she
Yeah.
did. She's like, okay, really, where do you want to grow? And I listed all of these places of where I wanted to grow. I don't see them in the same way that I used to see them, as blocks, as
It's a subtle difference, is it, in the language, how you're using it?
it's so good, because I was like, okay, where am I blocked? And I'm like, my brain just doesn't operate like that anymore. And so part of what I want to say to your audience is that when we are blocked, or when sorry, I think my internet cut out a little bit, that when we're having fear, that a lot of this is just, one, we've trained our brains maybe not to serve us in the most empowering ways, which is not our fault. It was how we were programmed, it was how we were conditioned, it was how we were raised. And the second thing is really understanding that this is biological. This is kind of like, fear is a biological thing. Change is hard because that's the way our brain is designed. So I want to give people like a little bit of grace, a little bit of compassion, to know that if they're trying to change and they're struggling, first of all, it makes sense to me, because our brain is designed to keep us in the safe and in the familiar and in the known. And however they're living their lives right now, it's exactly, they're safe, they're familiar, and they're known. So when we want to change, that means we're stepping outside of our comfort zone. We're doing something differently. And our subconscious mind is going to kick up some fuss. We're going to feel those urges, those desires to go back to what we were doing, to not follow through with what we say we're going to do. So I just want your audience to know that it's also the brain and the way the brain is created. So when I first discovered that, it kind of like, I was like, oh, okay, it's not me.
Oh
I'm not
no.
broken.
So it's broken. Even if we're struggling with certain beliefs or habits that may be affecting us or limiting us in certain ways, we are not broken. We just here learning lessons. Because I think that takes a lot of heavy weight off me when I think about this that way. I'm just here learning lessons rather than I'm broken, there's something wrong with me.
I'm just here to grow. I'm here to
Like,
learn.
if you could give me one or two top tip that you're happy to share with us, how to train our mind for success.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So one of the first things that I want to say, and I'll tell, like, whenever I'm about to say something where people are going to roll their eyes at me, I say, don't throw a shoe at me, or, I'm like, give me a second to explain. But one of the first things that I want to say is that it's really important that we define what success is. Because my version of success is not your version of success. We might have some similarities. We might have some similarities, but it's like, and so one of the first things I always do is I have people define what success means externally and internally. Because again, we're all different. And so it's important that you're clear on what success means to you. I'm getting goosebumps again because it's like, because success, what does the, internally, what does success mean? And typically people want to feel at peace. They want to feel fulfilled. They want to feel free, right? And so I want people to know that they're probably already successful in a lot of these ways. And we don't necessarily see it like that because we see that we're supposed to have the $1 million, or we're supposed to have the amazing relationship, or we're supposed to have whatever it is, the thriving business, or be the CEO in their corporate career, or whatever it is, right? And so I'm helping people redefine what success means, because I want to teach people how to get to that successful state that they want in their lives from an aligned and empowered place, not from force, not from pushing. That shit doesn't work. That shit makes it hard. Yeah. So that's my tip, is like, really look at what success means to you and define it externally and internally so that you can be aware of what you're looking for.
Beautiful. And there's one final question. So you're going to love this. The podcast is titled You Can Be Unstoppable. And I know that you have a podcast, which is the Unstoppable Mind. So we've got something in common here.
Yes.
And I always ask my guests to give me 3 ways to become and sustain being unstoppable. So basically, I want your recipe in 3 steps how to become unstoppable.
Yeah. So I love this, first of all, that you are unstoppable too. And I love that we collaborate together and that we see each other as colleagues and as friends that are working to create a movement across the planet. And so I just want to share that, because this is going to be one of my tips of being unstoppable, is looking for collaborations, looking for opportunities to align together so that we can create a movement together. Because this is what it takes. It's not just me, it's not just you, it's all of your listeners. It's all of us coming together to collaborate together to change the consciousness of this planet. So to be unstoppable is to be unstoppable in community. That's my first.
Wow,
getting goosebumps again, right? It takes all of us to create this movement together. The other thing about being unstoppable is about focusing on you, on your own journey, on your own uniques, a lot of time, your own unique gifts. A lot of times we look at what somebody else is doing, and we're comparing ourselves to other people. And I get this a lot, where I'm like, somebody will reach out to me and they'll say, Mary Lou, I know I was triggered by you. I know that this is about me. And so more, and you know me, you know my heart, I want everyone to thrive, but I can trigger people. And my job is to help them see it as a gift, that this is a gift for you to focus on you. Don't focus on me, focus on I'm showing you what's possible, but bring it back to you so that you can look at how unique and special you are, and how you want to, whatever it is that you want to create in the world, and comparing yourself to who you were yesterday. So that is one thing I want to say is stop the comparisonitis. Focus on your own unique gifts and your own path. Because you and I both know that what we focus on growth
Absolutely.
where our attention is, and I want to put the attention back on themselves, back on them. So that's my other tip for being unstoppable. And I guess my third tip for being unstoppable in the world is to truly effing love who you are. And that's itself is a journey, right? There's so many so many layers to that. So that's what I would say about living your most unstoppable life is about those things. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So powerful. And as you were talking about awareness, I'm listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza's latest book about becoming supernatural. And he refers to attention, where you place your attention is where the energy goes, is what grows. And he just keeps on and on. And I was like, I heard that somewhere else, time and time again. You know what I'm talking about. And it's so important to know that, if we have negative thoughts, then what do you think we're going to attract into our lives? And I remember when I was growing up in Poland, we had this saying that, unhappiness goes in three. So when something bad happened to you, people literally were expecting at least two more things to go sideways. Now I'm like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? But that's the cultural um programming modeled reality, from generation to generation. It's just a saying, bad things goes into three. And so when something bad happened, we just automatically, without analyzing, questioning, look for the next two. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But when you understand this, you can revert back. If you can expect good things to happen to you and be optimistic, and like I have this belief that everything always works out for me, I need to kind of remove the belief that I need to go through a deep dive first. I
Yes.
do believe that everything always works out with me. I just need to kind of alter my belief that I need to go through a deep lesson before it happens.
Yeah. No,
So
it's so, I love that so much. And yeah, it's our again, going back to our programming, our cultural programming. You and I have very different cultures, but there's similar overlap. My parents are from Mexico, and so we could go into like how we were raised to work hard and not feel. Just work hard. Don't feel your feelings. Your feelings aren't valid. Sorry you feel that way. Life's effing hard. And that was how I was raised. And so what you had just shared right now is about us, you and I today. What we're doing is we're undoing all of that programming.
yeah.
And I've been working with Dr. 𝓸𝑗𝓲𝓬𝓪𝓽𝓮. I don't know if you know who he is. He wrote Be
Yeah.
Your Future Self Now. And he teaches that as we change our present moment, as we change who we are today, what that does is that helps to heal the past, because you begin to see things differently, and it helps to not heal your future, but be your future self now. So it's just really fascinating, all of the different ways that we can heal, and
Mhm.
it's exciting. So that's what I want to leave people here with today, that there are tools out there, steps and strategies on living your best life. But I want to just add this really quickly, because I feel like this is really powerful, is that the best investment that anybody could ever make is in themselves, and specifically in their minds. Because if you don't have beliefs that support you, you could have $1 million strategy that's right in front of you, but if you don't believe that it's $1 million strategy, it's not $1 million strategy. So our beliefs are everything. And I really
Absolutely.
do believe that our minds and our hearts, to me, they're synonymous. They go together, our mind and our heart. But
Is
investing in our
Yeah, no, go for
yeah.
it.
No, I was going to say investing in our mind is the best strategy that we can ever have, because Evelina, you know that I believe this and you've heard me say it, but I skyrocket everywhere I go because I know how to use my brain effectively. Even if I don't know specifically, I'm learning something new, I understand how to program my mind. So
Before I let you go, is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
I would love to invite people into my challenge. My challenge is April 17th through the 19th. And it's really about, you're going to love this, it's about being unstoppable. It's about 5 days to activate your success mindset so that you can live your most aligned life. In a way, you know, this isn't the title of my, I mean, what I'm going to say now is not the title to my challenge, but I want everybody to be unstoppable, but in a way that feels really good for them. And so I'm doing a 5-day challenge where we're going to talk about success. We're going to talk about flow state, peak performance, but not peak performance in push, 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 peak performance in how does this really feel in my body so that I can eat better, so I can have better relationships, so that I can attract more money. I mean, whatever it is for people who are wanting to do, whatever their outcome is, I'm super excited to teach people how to be unstoppable and live their best lives. And I hope you can join us at 𝓬𝓞𝓮. And it's April 17th. I'll give you the link.
Yeah, I will
It's
put
the
it in the
17th.
notes. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. 17th through the 19th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So this is really a way for me to serve, to teach people, and have fun.
And I love this because you know, like I said throughout this episode, I've always wanted to be someone, and I've always pushed boundaries and said just because society tells us, it doesn't mean that it's true. Just because something's been passed on from generation to generation, it doesn't mean that it's true. Or even if it was, it doesn't mean that it's still valid and actually helpful. So question your belief. I think if I can add on top of what you're saying, just question what you believe. Don't just accept them on a face value. And I think we don't do that nearly enough.
I agree, bajillion%.
And on that note, thank you very much for being here. I had so much pleasure.